So if these people are radicalized and they don't support the United States and they're disloyal to the United States as a matter of principle, fine, that's their right. It's our right and our obligation to segregate them from the normal community for the duration of the conflict.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we alluded to those remarks in the open of the show. Joining us now on the Malzberg panel, Jane Velez-Mitchell, founder of JaneUnchained.com and the author of the New York Times bestseller Exposed: The Secret Life of Jodi Arias, and Tom Borelli, contributor to Conservative Review, conservativereview.com. All right, Jane, that's part of a conversation which will go more in depth on in the Give Me Five segment of today's show, where Wesley Clark talks about how what we did in World War II to those who were Nazis and how we put people in internment camps, and talking about how in this country and other countries around the world there are enemies within, and maybe it's time that we separate them from society until the conflict is over.
Well, those who do not learn the mistakes of history are doomed to repeat them. One of the most shameful episodes in our history was the internment of Japanese during World War II, which was later acknowledged during the Reagan administration to be abhorrent, to be racist, to be war hysteria. And I think this is thinking along the same lines. I was absolutely shocked and horrified by what Wesley Clark said about sticking people in camps. Oh, and who's going to decide who's going to go into the camps? Oh, let the politicians decide. I mean, this is fascist thinking. And the idea that he also encourages the government to eavesdrop on social media and online, literally, this is like a recipe for a totalitarian society. I am so glad this man wasn't elected president. He is truly frightening.
Well, Tom, let me play devil's advocate.
I agree with Jane.
You do agree? Well, let me just play devil's advocate here. You know, it turns out, I would presume that there weren't Japanese who were going to take up arms and kill Americans on our soil. On the other hand, we've seen that there are radical Islamists in this country that are willing to do it and have done it and will do it in the future. So the circumstances are a little different.
Yes, but we have to go. We're a nation of laws. We have to go by the rules of laws, and everybody's not guilty just because of whatever race, gender, or creed they belong to. But back to General Clark. Look, there's not. Progressives are scary, but there's nothing scary than a progressive general. Emotional reaction, right to jail. And don't forget, he almost started World War III in the Kosovo War. When the Russians took over an airport, he wanted to attack the Russians. So this guy's pretty much a loose cannon, and sure glad he's a Democrat.
All right, well, let's talk about nothing scarier than a progressive general, and that is Hillary Clinton. And some scary news for Hillary Clinton, Jane. In the polls, the Quinnipiac polls today show that in 3 key states, the states of Colorado, Iowa, and Virginia, she would lose to 3 different Republicans. And, this isn't the kind of numbers that the Hillary folks have expected or would ever expect.
Ooh, I don't think she's that scared. I think she's like a boxer taking the hits at the beginning of the fight to wear out her opponent. And obviously the incessant drumbeat, this character assassination campaign that has been conducted on her based on these emails and the fact that she used, her own personal cell phone as Secretary of State, big whoop. And eventually, in fact, if you go on the street and ask 9 out of 10 people, what is this email crisis and this email scandal, they wouldn't be able to tell you. They wouldn't be able to tell the story of Benghazi. You're running out of storylines, and she's going to withstand all this, and when it counts, she's going to win.
All right, here's the problem for her, Tom. Her trustworthiness and honesty numbers are going down from where they were already underwater. Colorado, for instance, only 34% say they see her as honest and trustworthy. 62% say they do not. And her leadership has taken a 10% hit as well. If you're not viewed as honest and trustworthy, even though Jane might be right, maybe most people can't tell you exactly what Benghazi is about and what the email scandal's about. They look at her, they see her, they hear her, and they just say, it reeks of dishonesty and not being trustworthy.
Well, certainly, that's a brand Hillary Clinton's worked out for a long time, and now a lot of Americans really understand it. She's a horrible candidate. She's running a horrible campaign. She's got to worry about Bernie Sanders, who's really nipping at her heels. And most concerning for her is now the media has it in their bonnet that she's going to go down again like she did against Obama. That's going to be a reoccurring theme now going on, and the media is just going to keep playing that role.
Look, it's easy to win friends and influence people when you give away stuff. Bernie Sanders, $15 minimum wage. So, yeah, he's getting supporters, especially on the left, because he's doing a big giveaway. He knows he's not going to be elected.
Right, but what does Hillary Clinton stand for? She's with Goldman Sachs, and she criticizes Goldman Sachs. She's a crony capitalist. She supports the Exxon Bank. She supports sanctuary cities. You know, what are her politics?
It's called being a moderate, and that's exactly what this country needs.
That's a moderate, huh?
A moderate hypocrite, possibly. All right, let's talk about the Pope's unfavorable ratings, or the favorability rating of the Pope in the United States. A new poll out right now that says it's dropping, and it's dropping among the faithful in particular. Tom, this Pope has aligned himself in many respects with the left politically, the hard left.
Yeah, it really is a shame from my perspective. You know, the Catholic Church has a lot of problems. In fact, my church is closing its last Mass this coming Sunday after 106 years. So I think the Pope really should get away from the politics and go back on faith.
Jane?
I think that he has re-energized Catholicism. I think one of the reasons churches are closing is because of the pedophile scandal. He has taken very strong positions on climate change, income inequality.
That's the problem,
I think that's wonderful. I think it's wonderful.
Guys, his popularity in the United States is 59%, down from 76% when he was elected. I thank you both, Jane Velez-Mitchell and Tom Borelli. Thank you both for being here. Up next, ladies and gentlemen, Ari Fleischer will join us, former G.W. Bush White House spokesperson. But first, we want your feedback. Let Jane know how wrong she is. Now, let us know what you think of today's show and possibly the discussion we just had and whatever else you want to weigh in on. Log on to newsmaxtv.com/comments. newsmaxtv.com/comments and have your voice heard.